So this is really a companion video to my video discussing how I have compensated for my motor issues when playing World of Warcraft. I use a mouse and Orbweaver combination because I have FND, which causes severe tremors in my right mouse hand. This makes it very difficult to target mobs and click on things in game, and if you've played WoW then you've probably experienced the flaws with the tab targeting system, randomly jumping to mobs 10 feet away instead of the mobs directly in front of you that are attacking you. So as you can imagine, being able to click target does put you at a big advantage. The main part of this guide will be on setting up the thumbstick on my Orbweaver, but it is worth discussing the fact that you can configure the buttons on your Orbweaver to whatever you want them to be. The Orbweaver has 20 buttons on it, and if you take out the 4 movement buttons, W, A, S and D, then you will still have 16 buttons to play with. I have W set to button 8 on my Orbweaver, and the rest of the buttons largely follow the keyboard, except that I have 6 set to tab, 11 to control, 16 to shift, and 17 through 20 are Z, X, C and V respectively. I have left mouse click set to the Alt button on my Orbweaver, and I have the mouse wheel click on my mouse configured to Alt, and scrolling up and down on the mouse wheel zooms the camera in and out to allow me to click on things that I may be struggling with, for example a quest item on the ground or the crystals and bottles in a horrific vision. This provides me with enough buttons for all of my abilities, but if you find that you are struggling for buttons, then macro guides are coming this week, and that may offer you some solutions. Now if we take a look at the side view of my Orbweaver, you can see that I have left click on the Alt button, I have space on the space bar, no change there, but I've also set up, down, left, right on the thumbstick to be the axes of a joystick. I don't recommend using mouse scroll for this. I never managed to get it work effectively for me. If anyone has or does, then please do send me a DM or leave me a comment below, because I'd appreciate knowing how to do that. It's also worth pointing out that this does not allow diagonal mouse movement, which is why I need a backup mouse. But once you've set this up, you should largely be good to go. You can check that this is working in Windows. Just go to settings, click on devices, then click on devices and printers. That should bring you up this menu. Once you are here, you want to click on the HID compliant game controller and then go to settings. You should see the Razer Orbweaver Chroma in the menu. If you click properties, a test screen will come up, and then when you move the thumbstick, it should move around in the test window, and that will prove to you that you have configured it properly. Now once you have your Orbweaver thumbstick configured, you're going to need software to change the joystick input into mouse input. Personally, I recommend Joy2Key, link in the description. It's free to trial. A license key is only about £6 or $7. As you can see, I'm only using this to turn the joystick input from my joystick into mouse input. What I recommend you do is press the thumbstick in a direction and it lights up the input in yellow. Then you can click on that input and set it with the direction that you want the mouse to move in. Now this is just done with a simple checkbox. You can also change the mouse sensitivity if you want to make the mouse move a bit faster. Now it comes as default set to 50. I've increased that to compensate for the fact that I've turned the mouse sensitivity in World of Warcraft down to the lowest it can be. And that allows me to use the thumbstick to make much faster movements in game than I would be able to make with my mouse hand. Now if £6 or $7 is a bit pricey, There is an auto hotkey script available on their site, again link in the description, that is configured to do this. Fiddling with that and making it work for your needs is far more complicated, but the default script does work. I used to use it a while back before I got Joy2Key, and if you can, I would recommend getting some sort of software like Joy2Key. You know, that it's just easier to configure to your needs. Now obviously it would be wrong of me not to address the fact that both of these solutions, the auto hotkey script and Joy2Key, are third-party software. Now I have checked on numerous occasions with the GMs at Blizz, and the answer is always the same. So long as the software you're using isn't automating actions, then there shouldn't be a problem. However, I have spoken to people and I have friends who have been banned for using third-party software that does not automate the game, that they are using to compensate for visual or motor issues that they have. Now, usually Blizz will be happy to review your ban in these cases, and in most cases the bans were lifted. Just be aware that you may need to provide details about the software, how and why you are using it in your appeal. Blizzard GMs are, in my experience, great people, but they aren't, whatever they may tell you, all-knowing, so give them as much information as you can. Now obviously once you've got this all set up, then you can use the mouse to make small movements in game, and then if you need to move the cursor a much larger distance, then you can combine the thumbstick input with the mouse movement, and this will stabilize the cursor movement, so you know, compensating for your shake, because the thumbstick input is consistent, and it will even out the axes that you are pressing in. Hopefully this guide will be useful, hopefully it'll be helpful to you if you suffer from motor issues that impact on your ability to play World of Warcraft. If you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them as best I can. You can get me on Twitter and Warcraft, or you can just leave them in the comments below. Also, if you have a different solution or have other software that you would like to recommend, then also leave that in the comments or contact me on Twitter. And if you find this guide useful, I would really like to hear from you, so please do get in touch.